afternoon, Rotarians and guests. My name's Bob Glindeman and I'm your MC for today. We'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous Australians here today. Welcome to our hybrid meeting, to those online and those of you in the room. Today's reflection will be delivered by past President Robert Fisher, followed by the loyal toast to President Catherine. Please ensure your glass is charged.
Thank you, Bob. In 2005, Simone and Ian Carson noticed the amount of good quality food being thrown out at their local market in Paran. They decided to do something about it themselves and gathered friends and family together to collect produce in their car and deliver to local charities. From these small beginnings, Second Bite was established. And look at it today, rescuing over 25 million kilograms of food per year for over 1,100 charities nationwide. What an amazing impact. It's now a Rotary Melbourne folklore that Bob Glindeman heard about Second Bite all these years ago and sought board approval to provide support. He was knocked back and said, blow it, or words to that effect, and put together a band of volunteers who worked on rosters over many years at Paran and Victoria markets. We will hear more about the Second Bite story today. In Rotary, we like to describe ourselves as people of action. Each of us has the opportunity to identify a need in the community and to do something about it. Volunteering for Second Bite is easy, only a couple of hours on an occasional Sunday afternoon. So again, I ask for volunteers to help us in this amazingly good work. So if you're interested, please let me know. For good food and friendship through Rotary, we give thanks.
Thanks, Robert. Rotarians and guests, please be upstanding. A toast to Australia and Rotary International. Please be seated. For those online, we will be going to Zoom rooms. We have a very packed agenda today, so we will be coming back slightly earlier than usual, but please enjoy your lunch. Members, visitors and guests, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our 22nd meeting of the Rotary year and our 5059th all-time club meeting. It's wonderful to see you all here today, including those online, and we're going to be presenting our annual Vocational Service Award today. Our guest speaker is Simone Carson AM, co-founder of Second Bite. Simone will be presented with our 60th Vocational Service Award and is accompanied by her Second Bite co-founder Ian Carson AM. Please join me in acknowledging and making them both welcome. Joining us today, we have past award recipients, and we welcome last year's recipient, Dr. Sandro DeMaio, public health advocate, soon to take up a role with the United Nations. Congratulations. And he will lead the World Health Organization's regional work on climate, environment and health based in Seoul. So we're sorry to see you leave Australia. We have Brian Lipman, AM, Winteringham CEO, Dr. Margaret Leggett, AM, mental health expert and past club member, Dr. Catherine Crock, AM, founder of the Hush Foundation, Mordy Palmer, AO, visual arts expert, Professor Jeffrey Rosenfeld, AC, OBE, specialist surgeon, Bruce Parker, OAM, managing director, HM Gem Engines, and we have current member Susan Barton, AM, founder of the Lighthouse Foundation. We have apologies today from Rob Pradelin, Stephanie Alexander and Gareth Andrews. Thank you all for joining us. Would members please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests. We may have a record today, and for induction shortly we will have Anne McCormack, Alberto Balbo, Anne Donovan and Stephanie Hunt, who's accompanied by Glenn Lease. Also ahead of today's AGM is Club Auditor Greg McCluskey and District 9800 N Polio Coordinator Jane Pennington. A warm welcome to you all. We also have visiting Rotarians, guests and members. Let me grab the list. Karen from our club in Sweden, we will be doing a banner exchange with you, Karen. I can see you down the back. Welcome. Good to see you. And we also have Luke Downing, a visitor, and Gertrude Matzi, a guest of Robert Fisher. And all things being equal, Gertrude is likely to be inducted into our club next week. So welcome to both of you. Before I do that, I would like to acknowledge the passing of two of our experienced members. It's certainly sad to announce the passing of Max Barr. Max was educated in Melbourne, completing a bachelor's degree in town and regional planning at the University of Melbourne in 1969, and he worked with the Department of Crown Lands and Town and Country Planning Board before entering private practice with Meldrum Burrows and Partners, becoming a partner in 1975. Max's first Rotary experience was in 1969 when, at the age of 26, he visited Southeast Asia as a member of Rotary Group Study Exchange. He was inducted into our club on the 2nd of March 1983 with the classification Town Planning, and he was appointed a club director and vice president during his tenure. Max was recognised with a Paul Fellow with Sapphire in May 2014, and he was an active member of Toorak Group 2. Max was a quiet achiever who accomplished much over his 40 years as a member, quietly spoken and always affable. He lunched with his Rotary friends right up to his death. In fact, I saw him only 3 weeks ago, and he will be greatly missed. I also announce the passing of Les Schultz, one of our honorary members. It was with great sadness that I have to inform you that he passed away peacefully at Claremont Terrace Aged Care at the age of 99. Many in this room do not know their fellow member Les, as he's not attended for the last decade, but he was very much a committed Rotarian. He joined the Rotary Club of Traralgon in 1958 and then joined our club in May 1972 when his work brought him closer into the city of Melbourne. It was only recently, in fact, I wrote to him and congratulated him on his 50 years of Rotary Club membership here at Rotary Melbourne. His total Rotary service was 69 years, which is pretty impressive. He was a long-time member of the Bayside Group and also served as group captain. Les was given the club's highest recognition when he was elevated to honorary membership in 2018. His non-attendance over the last decade was more due to his health and hearing loss. He's fondly remembered by many of our club for his smile, friendship and service, and we hail him as a truly great Rotarian. I would now welcome Stephanie Hunt, Alberto Balbo, Anne McCormack and Anne Donovan. Please come forward for induction into our club. I also call on their sponsors, Sana Malik, past president Chris Soteropoulos, and Susan Barton, to introduce them to the club. Sana, can I ask you to please introduce Stephanie?
President Catherine, it is with pleasure I introduce to our club Stephanie Hunt. Stephanie holds the position of lawyer. She will have the classification of law, international mediation. She will be a member of the Toorak 1 branch, and she will be mentored by Mary Barry. Stephanie is a former member of the Rotary Club of Brighton, and she will be known in the club as Steph.
Chris, could I ask you to come up and introduce Alberto, please, to us?
President Catherine, it gives me much pleasure to introduce for membership of the club Mr. Alberto Balbo, who holds the position of CEO and founder of Calendar, a globally focused energy company dedicated to accelerating the energy transition, and will have the classification of consultant energy transition. Just a little bit of background on Alberto. He serves many roles, including advisory board member of Hydrogen Fuels Australia, non-executive director of the Australian Microgrid Centre of Excellence, advisory council member Carbonless Asia out of Hong Kong, and senior advisor to the International Finance Corporation out of Washington, USA. He is a fine and upstanding member of our society and will be a worthy addition to our club. He will be a member of the Central 1 group and will be known in the club as Alberto, and your mentor Alberto in the club will be Peter Addison. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I'd invite Susan Barton to the stage, please, to introduce, we have not one, but two Annes joining our club today. Susan, over to you.
Thanks, Catherine. President Catherine, it gives me great pleasure to introduce for membership of the club, Anne O'Donovan, AO, who holds the classification of Publishing Director and will have the classification Publishing, Marketing and Promotions. And I'm delighted to welcome Anne as a member, and she's a highly respected icon of the publishing industry spanning decades, including roles at Jacaranda Press, Lansdowne Press and managing editor of Penguin Books, before founding Anne O'Donovan Publishing in 1978. I had about 5 pages to tell you about Anne. There's such a vast amount of things, but I was told by Joe I had to keep it simple. So she launched some of the things that stand out for me is she launched the Good Food Guide and collaborated with Gabriel Gattei on the influential series of books for the Anti-Cancer Council and has supported Lighthouse for more than 20 years. Anne's mentorship inspired my book on teenage self-esteem, reflecting her dedication to empowering others. Passionate about women's health and financial literacy, Anne co-founded the Women's Literacy Book Club. But what I love most about Anne is her adventurous spirit and her unwavering commitment to uplifting others through her active community building. Anne will join the Turak One group, mentored by Deb Yin Fu, and will be known in the club as Anne. Welcome, Anne. Now, Anne, the other Anne. I'll have to stop saying the two Annes. So it's my delight to also introduce Anne to the membership of the club, and she will hold the position of CEO Mekwa Care and will have the classification of CEO Aged Care. Anne, with her beautiful Scottish accent, as you'll hear when she speaks to you, has spent the past 17 years in Australia, bringing extensive experience from the UK, the US and Europe. I know her as a leader in private health insurance, aged care, disability, mental health and tertiary health. Anne excels in partnerships, strategy and implementation, technology, governance and workplace planning. And that was not all. This is where I had to cut half of what she's done down. As the board of chair of Hannah's House in Western Australia, she passionately advocates for children with complex conditions, focusing on delivering quality care, comfort and joy. But what I again admire most about Anne is her unwavering commitment to advocating for the highest standards of care and support for the most vulnerable members of our community in aged care, of which I sit on the board. Her approach focuses on bringing daily joy to her clients and empowering the community to be part of that journey. Anne's dedication to holistic care and human rights is truly inspiring, and her vision continues to have a profound effect on those she serves. Anne will be a member of the Group 1, Turak, and will be mentored by Reg Smith and will be known in the club as Anne.
So if I can have the inductees, please join me up on the stage. It's cozy up here, but we'll all fit. Steph, Alberto, Anne and Anne. We welcome you as members of Rotary Club of Melbourne. Today you enter an organisation of more than 1.2 million people in close to 37,000 clubs in 221 countries, embracing the internationality of Rotary. We believe that you have the personal and professional qualities that will ensure the principles of Rotary will be safe in your keeping. The Rotary badge that you will receive in a moment, and I hope you will wear with pride, indicates your commitment to the object of Rotary, to which we all aspire, to encourage the ideal of service above self. We expect that you will become ambassadors for us in the community in which you live, and we ask that you convey Rotary's aims to all that you meet and in all that you do. We look forward to your pursuing with us the great work of Rotary, so that this expectation, and with this expectation, I offer you the right hand of fellowship and ask that members rise and join me in welcoming you as members of our club. Thank you. Please be seated. Now, I know that you would all love to hear from each of these new inductees. We have, unfortunately, a very tight agenda, so 1 minute only for each to respond. And then we will organise for more opportunities for each of our new inductees to tell us more about themselves in coming weeks. So, Steph, I'll pass to you first. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm honoured to stand among you and volunteer with you in our beautiful city. I grew up watching my dad work very hard and be careful with spending, and my mum invest in our future and volunteer to help others where she could. As an economist from Colombia, she knew too well that we truly did live in the lucky country here in Australia. With a master's in international dispute settlement, I now have a decade of experience as a lawyer under my belt, half of which is in the private sector and the other half in government, serving as legal advisor to 2 former foreign ministers. I'm driven to improve livelihoods, starting in my backyard with the federal seat of Melbourne. I have a record of service, not just with Rotary and volunteering, or through my law firm, serving the court and my clients in the interests of justice, but also as a lawyer serving in the national interest. And I am now standing as the Liberal candidate for the federal seat of Melbourne. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'd like to say that until recently, I'd only met 2 members of Rotary, and that's Susan Barton and Reg Smith. And as you would all know, they're people of great quality. And so I look forward to joining this group of people of great quality. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. It's in coming along here today and in joining Rotary, I did think long and hard about what it is that I can bring. I'm new to Melbourne, and I look forward to working with Rotary, bringing a servant's heart and understanding what community feels like in Melbourne. I've devoted most of my time in Australia, I've devoted it in one way or another to society's most vulnerable. And I think a lot of the skill sets and the longevity and the meaning and purpose that Rotary has is just going to be wonderful for our community. And I look forward to finding my place there. Just in closing, your 1 minute of this accent, just in closing, I actually have to say that in meeting Susan Barton, who has a beautiful heart, it was Susan that actually switched me on to the power of Rotary and the power of the contributions that I think we can all make. So a very special thank you to Susan. She's my hero. She'd never say so, but she inspires me every day. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. I will be quick. So it's truly a honor to stand before you today as a new member of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. I am very humbled to join such a distinguished group of individuals who are committed to making a difference in our community and beyond. The focus of what I hope to bring to the table for Rotary is regarding sustainability, environment, as mentioned before. I have to thank you, Chris, especially. He has been pestering me with Rotary for a long time, and now we are here. I'm excited to collaborate with all of you to learn from your experiences and to lend my own skills and passion to our shared mission. Together, I believe we can continue to achieve remarkable things and make a lasting impact on the lives of those we serve. Thank you for welcoming me again into this family of service and leadership. I look forward to working alongside each of you and growing together as we strive to build a better world. Thank you.
Thank you to our new members. You can now resume your seats. And another round of applause for our new members. I'm now going to briefly adjourn this ordinary meeting and call to order the 103rd Annual General Meeting of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Acting Honorary Secretary Sana Malik has advised me that there is a quorum of Rotary Melbourne members present, and therefore we are able to formally open the AGM today. Voting for this meeting will be via a show of hands of the members in person and online, and it is open to all ordinary members of the club to vote. Corporate members are entitled to 1 vote per company. The minutes of the 103rd Annual General Meeting, the minutes of the 102nd Annual General Meeting have been circulated, and the first motion is that the minutes of the 102nd Annual General Meeting of the Rotary Club of Melbourne Incorporated as circulated be taken as read and confirmed. The motion was moved by Marg Lesser and seconded by Chris Soteropoulos. Does anyone have any questions or discussions? Okay. Could I see by an indication of show of hands whether those minutes are approved? Consider the minutes approved. And the motion is carried. The receipt of the 103rd Statement of Accounts for RCM Inc., RCM Community Foundation Extension Fund and RCM Community Foundation for the year ending 30th of June 2024. The 103rd Statement of Accounts for the year ending 30 June 2024 was distributed by email and is available in hard copy on request. The club must now officially receive these documents. The second motion is that the 103rd Statement of Accounts for the year ending 30th of June 2024 be received. The motion is moved by Robert Anthony and seconded by David Carruthers. Does anyone have any discussion points? Could I see by a motion, a show of hands, those in favour? Motion is carried. Election of office bearers for 2025-2026. In regard to the positions of President-elect, 2 Vice Presidents, Treasurer and Secretary for 2025-2026, no more than the required nominations were received by the closing time. I therefore have pleasure in confirming the following elected office bearers of the club for 2025-2026, and I ask them to stand as their names are called. President Philip Cornish, immediate past President, I guess I'm standing here, President-elect Carol Bond, Vice Presidents Carol Bond and Branko Panic, Honorary Secretary Sue Smith. The following members have agreed to remain in office: Honorary Treasurer Robert Anthony and Assistant Secretary Sana Malik. Would you please join me in congratulating these members for their willingness to serve our great club? Election of directors for 2025-2026. The directors at completion of their terms are Carol Bond, George Demodakis, Marg Lesser and Stephen Rando. In relation to the vacancies for the retiring directors that will occur on 30th of June 2025, no more than the required nominations were received by closing time. I therefore have pleasure in confirming the following directors with effect from 1 July 2025. Newly elected directors Robert Fisher for International, Idan Z for Comms and Partnership, John Saunders for Sustainability and Governance, re-elected directors Rosemary Nixon for Community Service, continuing directors Debian Fu for Membership and Iqbal Rita for Youth and Vocational Service. Would you please join me in showing your appreciation for the incoming directors' willingness to serve our great club, and thank the retiring directors George Demodakis, Stephen Rando, Marg Lesser and Vice Presidents Reg Smith and Mary Barry, and past President Chris Soteropoulos for their service to our board. In the matter of the appointment of auditor, only one nomination has been received for the position of auditor to hold office until our next AGM. I therefore have pleasure in confirming the appointment of Greg McCluskey of GM Auditing Services Proprietary Limited, who has confirmed his willingness to continue to act as our club's auditor. There being no further business, I now close the 103rd Annual General Meeting of the Rotary Club of Melbourne Incorporated. 6 minutes, not bad. Not a record, but not bad. Okay. All right, importantly, moving on, Rotary Foundation Month. In the continuing themes in this Rotary Foundation Month, I call on past President Bob Glindeman for this next segment. Bob, we're over to you.
Thanks, President Catherine. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about November being Foundation Month, and I spoke about the Every Rotarian Every Year activity. I mentioned that our club has many members who have never donated to the Rotary Foundation, or alternatively, their continuing donation had expired because of credit cards and all of those sorts of things. I put my hand up, I was one of those. In fact, almost 60% of our members and you're about to hear about an opportunity where you can become a supporter of the foundation and at the same time get a bigger bang for your buck. Jane Pennington is our district coordinator for the Polio Plus Society, and has she got a deal for you? Jane.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation to update you on the Polio Plus Society. Yes, an absolute deal for you. In October 2022, the Foundation trustees at the RI level endorsed the Polio Plus Societies as a club and district-led program. Groups had been established prior to this date, but this was the official endorsement. Our group in District 9800 commenced in April last year with the aim to raise funds for the End Polio campaign. Members donate a minimum of 160 Australian dollars each year and become a member. All these funds go direct to the End Polio campaign and then are automatically matched 2-for-1 by the Gates Foundation. Members can donate either in a lump sum annually or by recurring payments each month. Very, very easy to set this up on my Rotary, and I'm sure Bob would be able to help you if you need some help. One small tip, very helpful to know your RI International ID number before you start. And then these donations will then go towards Paul Harris recognitions as well. There is information flyers available, some are on the tables, and there are plenty available to show you how to do this. Members will receive a certificate and PIN to indicate their membership. In our district, we started with 60 members and have grown to 103 Polio Plus Society members, which is one of the highest memberships in this zone. We have held a function last year and this year for Polio Plus Society members to connect with others and have an update on the current status of polio worldwide. We are so fortunate to have Dr. Murray Versu in our district, who is so knowledgeable in this area, and I know he has addressed you very recently. He usually speaks at our functions. This society will continue to exist until the world is certified polio-free. As many of you know, the major fundraiser for our district for polio is the Rotary End Walk with Us, which we have just successfully run and had for the last 5 years. Individuals register and may form a team and then run, walk, cycle, swim, or whatever they wish during the month and seek donations. All individual donations for this campaign count towards membership of the Polio Plus Society. This year, 60 individuals participated in 21 teams with more than $48,000 raised. A huge thank you to Robert Fisher, who topped the leaderboard with both donations and kilometres covered. I know he had a great deal of support from this club, which is so much appreciated. I am not sure how he did 400 kilometres in a month. Totally amazing. There's, well done, Robert. Thank you. There have been more than 71 cases of polio this year, 48 in Pakistan and 23 in Afghanistan, compared to 12 last year. So this fundraising is needed more than ever to stop this outbreak and eradicate polio from the world forever. I have great pleasure in presenting our 103rd member with his certificate and PIN, Bob Glindeman. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, and I look forward to many new members.
So there you go. Your club's foundation committee is recommending that this provides a wonderful opportunity to support the foundation with whatever dollar amount you elect and have the value trebled by the Gates Foundation at the same time. The sums are simple. Donate 160 Australian dollars, that's $100 US, and the Gates contribution turns that into $300 US. So that means at least 300 children are able to be vaccinated. Single donations, of course, are welcome, but the annual contribution is far better. I'll make sure everybody goes out today with the brochure so that we can have another 100 members of the Polio Plus Society. Thanks very much.
Just a few notices. Our 4th of December meeting was to be an evening meeting. However, we have been able to secure Ken Peace, a sports journalist and author of several cricket books. Now that will be a lunch meeting instead at the West Wing, which is just a few metres away from here. He'll have several of his books available to purchase, and he will be prepared to sign. But the but is you need to get in early. we have a limit of 40 people because of room size. So if you're a cricket fan and knowing we're coming into very interesting cricket season, I'd recommend you get in and book. I'll now join the draw the raffle. And now to the business of the day. Would our chair of the day, past President Reg Smith, please come to the podium to take over the meeting?
Thanks very much, President Catherine. Members will, those who are diligent enough to read the bulletin will have read in our club bulletin this week the rich tradition of the that it's embodied in 60 successive presentations of Rotary Club of Melbourne's Vocational Service Award in recognition of their distinguished vocational service. And I have to tell you, this year is absolutely no exception. 2020 in the 2024-25 awardee is, as I think everyone knows, Simone Carson, AM, who's the founder and deputy chair of Second Bite. And I've got a whole lot of stuff here about Simone's early career. I think she's going to get through that for you, so I won't repeat it. And Robert Fisher, is, of course, has done a good job for us as well in introducing Simone. But over 15 years, I think it's true to say Simone witnessed firsthand the struggles of families who on top of medical challenges, had faced difficulties accessing fresh and nutritious food. And this experience has highlighted for her the critical link between the food we eat and our good health, which in turn led she and Ian to do something about it. And that's how Second Bite was formed back in 2005. The good thing is, from my viewpoint, that it's very easy for a founder to get right up there in the clouds of governance and notoriety. But in Simone's case, and Ian's in particular, we still see them at Paran and have the joy of serving alongside them. And that, I think, is a very important part of why we picked out Simone as the winner this year. The other thing I should say, though, is that Second Bite has had an astonishing growth over the last nearly 20 years, and most recently joined with Fair Share. So they're now not only rescuing food, but they're also delivering cooked and prepared meals, a very complete value proposition, which makes them much more powerful. So I'm going to cut out most of the things I'd written down to say and simply say that Simone's outstanding contribution over 20 years to food rescue and fresh food access for all, together with her exemplary service as a hands-on volunteer, is recognised by this award as an exemplar of Rotary's ideal of service above self. I'm now going to ask President Catherine to return to the podium to present the frame citation and Vocational Service Award plaque, and then we'll hear some words from Simone. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Reg. Simone, I'm delighted to present you this plaque and frame citation and to congratulate you on joining a distinguished body of people, both men and women, who have been previous recipients of the award. Both hands totally full now. Simone, congratulations. We'd now invite you to address the meeting, and we'll do some photographs at the end. Thank you, Simone. Congratulations. I will. Thank you.
Thanks, Reg. So thank you, Reg, Chairman. Bob Glindeman, previous past president, MC and friend. Current President, Catherine Baxter. And a sincere thank you to Rotary Melbourne for this generous award. To be nominated and to receive the 2024 Rotary Melbourne Vocational Service Award is an enormous honour. I have met some of the previous recipients of this award, Sandro, Professor Sharon Lewis, Dr. Bronwyn King, Susan Barton, Professor Jeffrey Ronfield, and I'm told Brian Littman, Dr. Catherine Cook, Morty Palmer, Dr. Catherine Morty Palmer, Margaret Leggett, and Bruce Parker are also here today. I've always admired and respected their work and commitment to the health and well-being of all Australians. It's very humbling to be acknowledged alongside such an incredible group whose impact has been quite remarkable. Before I share a little bit about Second Bite and its mission over the last 20 years, it's important that I acknowledge two things. Firstly, food rescue and distribution is in part of a very complex sector. Secondly, and it's quite important, to do what we do and to have grown has only been possible because of strong partnerships, support, and great teams of people. We say at Second Bite that it's always been about people. The board, the leadership team, the staff, the incredible volunteers, the relationships that we have forged with our donors, and importantly, with the people we serve in our community. This award is recognition of the collective effort of many people working together to create positive change. Ian and I are co-founders, but we have always understood this and we celebrate it whenever we can. So 2024, if everyone can hear me, 2.5 million tonnes of food is wasted by Australian households, and 7.6 million tonnes is lost across the food system around our country. Most of that food is edible. At the same time, 30% of Australians are making tough decisions about buying food, buying their medication, putting petrol in their car, paying their bills. Every week, we distribute around about 68,000 kilograms of food that would have ended up in landfill, and we deliver it for free nationally. Let's go back to 2005 when we started, almost 20 years ago. The sector was a very different place, and Australia was a very different place. Ian and I were appalled by the amount of food going to waste, while so many in our community were going hungry without the means of putting food on their table. And we grew up in families who disliked waste. Ian was told, eat your food. There are children in Africa going hungry. And I had a grandmother who grew up on a farm and lived through a war. She never wasted any food. Having grown up on a farm, she taught me the value of connecting people, family, and friends through food. Food was never wasted. She loved to cook and she made everything from scratch. Nothing was ever store-bought. Food was about nourishment, both physically and emotionally. At the same time we started, I was still working at the Children's Hospital, and I was deeply moved by the number of children and their families who were very vulnerable. I was regularly exposed to just how many Australians face difficult choices about how much and how often they would eat. In 2005, by then, I had had a good understanding that nutrition has a significant impact on the physical and mental health of our nation. So in those early days of Second Bite, Ian and I had one simple idea: to do something about the enormous amount of food waste. We were shocked by how much nutritious fresh food was being discarded, while at the same time we knew that many people in our community were struggling to get enough to eat. So in Melbourne, we began to collect that surplus food, just 600 kilograms in that first year, and we delivered it to the local charity. Started with a few friends and family, a couple of cars. The modest operation has grown into Second Bite, and as you know, it's a national food relief charity that each year distributes about 25 million kilograms of food, about 50 million meals for free right across the country. The community partners who receive the food have food programs. Most use food as a way of providing connection, of providing a lot more than just calories. They understand that the sharing of a meal can provide a moment of joy, of belonging, a sense that somebody cares. We supply the food for free so that the charity can use the money to employ a nurse or a social worker or a support person who checks in on where that client will sleep that night, if they're taking their medication. Do they need something as simple as having a shower and some clean clothes? One of the real success stories of Second Bite is that it allows locals living in their own communities to help their neighbours. It's a local community wanting to lend a hand to those who need it that have the greatest impact because they know where, when, and who needs the food. Now, governments and businesses in times of need have a major role to play in recovery and resilience, but we've seen time and time again that when help is needed most, it's the community who rallies as the first responders. From the beginning, we believe that community is at the heart of everything. Rotary's motto of service above self resonates deeply with me because it reflects the values that inspired Second Bite. The idea that each of us have something valuable to offer our community, whether it's time, skills, or resources. It's about putting others first. Rotary Melbourne became a very important part of the Second Bite story, and it remains so today. In 2007, when Second Bite was struggling to find volunteers and meet growing needs, Bob Glindeman joined the Second Bite board. Bob knew the power of Rotary and volunteering, and he asked Rotary Melbourne members and their families to take over the collections of food from the Paran market. Robert's touched on this, but I'll just say at the initial request, I think 17 members joined the roster, and then some 35 members volunteered. The 4 members each weekend would collect the donations and transport it to Sacred Heart Mission. The collection soon outgrew the cars, and the Second Bite van was pressed into service. Rotary empowered Second Bite to transform from a couple of families to leverage its model and to act as a more sophisticated agency, and we dramatically grew, using Rotary at the South Melbourne market, big market, gaining donations of money and other assistance. In many ways, we are actually in the weeds of our commitment to the Paran market, and Rotary allowed us to transform and to think beyond our initial work. That support continues today, and most Sundays at the close of trade down at Paran, Rotarians will be seen at the market. They volunteer their time so that fresh food doesn't end up in landfill. They make sure it's delivered to one of our 1,000 charity partners, and in this case to the Salvation Army situated in Burke Street just down the road. I'd personally like to thank Trevor Nink, Robert Fisher, Sue and Reg Smith, Jan Moffat, Rosemary Nixon and Manuel Philippe for your continuous support. Otherwise, I'd be there on my own most weekends. Melbourne Rotary over the years has helped us realise the potential for what we're doing and pushed us to think bigger. Very much Bob's role on the board in those early days, to sort of think beyond our reach. You weren't just helping us with food donations. You were showing us that collaboration and community are the keys to making this work on a much bigger scale. You've always understood our dual mission to end hunger and to end food waste. And Second Bite has been the recipient of the annual, or one of the recipients of the annual Environmental and Sustainability Luncheon. And we thank you all for that. An incredible partner of Second Bite from the Rotary community from the beginning has been Bob Glindeman. And I just personally have to thank you, Bob, for many, many years of friendship and support. And you've shared quite openly and honestly your professional advice at times and your skills and your contact list. Bob's very much a roll up your sleeves and get on with it person, and we've benefited from that. So in addition, Rotary have inspired us in ways that extend beyond food rescue. It's instilled in us the belief that by working together, we can move closer to solving society's most pressing challenges, whether it's food insecurity, food waste, or health outcomes. Your commitment to ethical leadership, to integrity, and service above self is something we aspire to every day at Second Bite. Now, as we all know, challenges are never far away. The rising cost of living, housing instability, and the increasing number of people needing food relief means that the demand for our services actually continues to grow. Second Bite and our partner charities have seen a 40% increase in demand for food relief over the last year. Meanwhile, Australians are facing significant pressures, with research showing that as many as 30% have had to skip at least one meal to save money. But this challenge also drives us. As we look ahead, we're excited about the merger with Fair Share. It's a collaboration that will only amplify our ability to meet the growing need. It came about after many years of collaboration at a board and operational level, including long-standing commitment of Second Bite to supply ingredients with which Fair Share now cooks food in one of their kitchens, and we distribute it through our network. We came together as a combined entity in July this year. By combining our strengths, we can redistribute both fresh produce and prepared meals for more people right around the country. For people who don't know how to cook or live alone or are just struggling, Fair Share meals provide so much joy to their lives. We believe no Australian should have to go hungry, and with this merger, we're a step closer to realising this vision. What has been very pleasing through this process, through this merger, is that our two major food and financial donors, being Coles and Woolworths, have been so supportive. Coles have supported Second Bite for over 11 years now. Woolworths have been long-time supporters of Fair Share. We now have trucks visiting both Coles and Woolworths supermarkets on the same run, so we're working across both organisations. As a combined organisation, we can now also source more food. We're working hard not only with Coles and Woolworths, but with farmers, food manufacturers and growers to procure more food for people. We can optimise whether we distribute the food as cooked Fair Share meals or as fresh fruit and vegetables under the Second Bite banner. So in preparation for today, I had a quick glance at my 2020 Churchill Fellowship report, and I'd like to read you a short extract from my report, which speaks to the importance of food. It's not only for providing fuel and good health. You may have heard some of what I'm going to read. It's a quote from Michael Rotwowski, who's the Senior Director of the World Bank. He says, and I put it in my report, food is not simply a collection of nutrients, it's an integral part of us. In our economy, in our culture, our history, our cognitive capacity and our spirituality. For instance, the word food appears more than 100 times in the Holy Book of Buddhism, Christianity, Islam and Judaism. In some countries, commodities like rice and bread are considered the barometer of the economy, and spikes in food prices have ignited revolutions, riots and protests. Food is a key priority among people living in poverty, often absorbing most of their financial, mental and emotional resources. Uncertainty about where the next meal is coming from generates profound stress. And it's being the net result on focusing on the here and now rather than being able to plan. Unfortunately, there are hundreds and thousands of millions actually of people across the planet who are living in that situation, including in our own country. So Second Bite, Fair Share believe that we should work really hard to make sure that Australians, all Australians, have a regular access to fresh, nutritious food, no matter where they live and no matter what their circumstances. So in closing, I'd just like to share my deepest thanks to the Rotary Club of Melbourne for this wonderful recognition, but most importantly, for everything that you do to support our community. Rotary was there for us in 2006, and you remain by our side in 2024. I share this award with the Second Bite team, our volunteers, our charity partners, whose dedication and tireless work make our purpose possible every single day. I also want to thank my family, especially Ian, without whose support and vision Second Bite would not exist. I'm so proud that we've been able to achieve this together, and I look forward to continuing our work together with all of you. We hope that food security is within reach for food security rather than insecurity is within reach for every Australian. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world." In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Every single one of us in this room today can be a powerful agent for change. And you don't need to be in a position of power or influence to be that agent. Small acts from individuals can and do change the world, and kindness is very important. I just want to say thank you to everyone today.
Thank you so much, Simone. That was a great address, a well-deserved award. In closing, I'd like to thank all of our visitors and guests. It's amazing. We've got 8 former winners, all of whom I've met previously, and you know, I hope you agree with me that we're keeping the standards high. Okay. I'd also like to thank Bob Glindeman and Robert Fisher for their emceeing and reflection, and of course the lunch setup team, which always does it behind the scenes, but without them it wouldn't happen. A reminder that next week's lunch is right here at number 35. Our guest speaker is Dennis Shaw, a trustee of the Rotary Foundation. And we hope you can join us and invite a friend to hear from a distinguished Rotarian leader.